You are listening to Business Heroine Radio for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. Join the Business Heroine community today at businessheroinemagazine.com. And now, tune into the show.
Welcome. I'm Ann Perry, founder of Business Heroine, and I can't wait for you to meet our beautiful June cover girl, Kristina Italic. Hey, Kristina.
Hey, woohoo! This is so exciting.
It's so exciting to have you here. So for those of you who have not met Kristina yet, Kristina Italic is an international and transformational performing artist, author, occupational therapist, and the creator of the You Can Do It DIVA Queen Bee experience, where she guides women to unapologetically express their deepest desires, really create from their souls, and celebrate their allness to become queen of their world. And I just want to share that Kristina's You Can Do It Diva movement is really this bold new attitude for women to rock their power and share their voice and express their brilliance. And Kristina, you will just love her. She's a fiery and edgy trailblazer who breaks all the rules, creating new roles with her captivating style to living life and leading business as a muse for modern day art. So Kristina will really take you on a hip new journey to artfully infuse all of who you are, leaving nothing to the side. Her fierce sense of vulnerability and innate ability to see the queen in you, the you that's screaming to be deeply seen, allows her to touch hearts and change lives forever. And I'm so happy to have you here, Kristina. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Anne. This is going to be super fun.
Super fun. So I want to start really with your story. You know, I want to hear about You Can Do It Diva and the Queen Bee movement and how you personally came to create this.
Yes. It's always such an interesting question when people ask you that, because I think that often we just want to have this direct answer. And I feel really for how You Can Do It Diva started for me was kind of like life, which is like a reel of experiences that sometimes you just go on this journey of unexpected twists and turns and you're just like, what the heck? Mm-hmm. And You Can Do It Diva actually was ignited from a really actually dark place in my life, on a really massive transition that I was going through, which I am, as you read, I'm an occupational therapist, and I had climbed this medical corporate kind of ladder, and I had gone as far as I could really go. And I was really at this place of feeling sadness and feeling guilt and shame that I'm supposed to be happy, and I have this life to the outside that looks, oh my gosh, she has everything, or she looks so good, or she's really successful. And I feel like that term just has so much attached to it in our society. And here I was on the inside struggling to get up day to day, struggling to know who I was. And I was really kind of suffocating inside of just wondering like what more was going to be in my life, because I just was at this crossroads of, okay, I'm supposed to be happy now that I have everything on paper. I have the money, I'm traveling, I have the job, I have all these checklist things that we're supposed to have by society standards and standards that I put on myself. But yet the happiness, that internal satisfaction, that deep sense of gratitude, and that deep like, oh my gosh, this is my life, was not there. And I share that I had this whisper that there's more for you. There's more for you. And I like that whisper became really faint, and it came in the place that I just really questioned, like, what am I doing? And I just kept hearing that whisper, and from it kind of ignited, like, where are the women 10 steps ahead of you? Where are they at? Like, here I am at the top of what I strive so desperately to find and to achieve. And it was lonely, and it was isolating, and it was like, well, where are all those women that are like me, or that even more quote unquote successful and 10 steps ahead? Where are they? And I wasn't finding them. And I just moved to Los Angeles at this time that kind of spun and ignited You Can Do It Diva, when I just came to this conclusion. I was like, I just want to have a different conversation with women. And I just started as this conversation happening with women that I was meeting, because again, I was pretty new and I didn't know anybody here. So just sparking that conversation, I was like, what are women talking about these days? And from it, I was just really listening to a lot of what they weren't saying and a lot of what they were searching for. And what it came down to is so many women had checked off so many boxes in their life, but yet they weren't having that deep fulfillment. They weren't having that satisfaction. They weren't having that wake up every morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what life is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so that's really what ignited You Can Do It Diva. And really what it is this attitude that's ignited within us for us to really own who we are, our quirks, our nuances, our grit, our greatness, and our gifts, and putting it all together through it. And also of like sharing our voices. Often I was hearing with women as well as myself. And I think that was another piece to it, Anne, is that here I am, I'm having all these check boxes, and by society terms, I should quote unquote have it all. And in that place, there are still so many darkness and dark spots and blind spots and places that I was shoving aside and not really embracing of my own right. And that it was like, wow, if I'm not sharing my voice, how many other women are not? And then that opened a new conversation, and I was like, wow, I don't want women to ever be hiding. And then it came to this place of our brilliance and our expression, and it was like women were feeling trapped in their bodies, and I was like, this is not okay. Like just checking off check marks for our life and giving labels and putting a label on it, that's not okay. Like we want to feel alive, we want to feel vibrant, we want to feel like, wow, this is our life. It is beautiful. It has this plethora of experiences, and this tapestry is full of textures and nuances, and that's what I wanted to create. And so that's really how You Can Do It Diva started. And then do you want me to go ahead and share how it came into Queen Bee, or do you want to kind of chat about that?
Yeah, well, I want to ask you another question about it, because I know that I believe you shared with me before that You Can Do It Diva is kind of like your alter ego. Isn't there a story to it like that? Like it's kind of like this other, what if I could be this other part of me that is alive and vibrant and has it all? And tell us that piece. I feel like that was like a year ago when we had that conversation, but it's just popping to mind.
Okay, so the thing about it's like all of this is intertwined together is like life is supposed to be fun. And it was like, for me, as you read also, as I'm a performing artist, so there's just things that I like that are naturally innate in me. And I've done this particular kind of alter ego thing my entire life. I think that's why I love performing so much, is because performing was my escape. It's where I could become everything that I wanted to be. And so I even tapped into that, like when I was asking for raises, or I was negotiating deals, or I was, wanting my salary or anything like that. I'd be like, who do I need to be in order to ask for what I want? Because I didn't feel confident and courageous enough to do it as in who I know Kristina is, so to speak. And so I really dive into these, like who would ask, or how would I want to come across? And so it kind of create these different little nuances and like personalities. And so what You Can Do It Diva is that voice inside of me saying, you can do it, even though I was like, oh no, I cannot. Do you not know who I am? Like, seriously? And the diva to me is like, I know she has all kinds of connotations, and people all across it has sparked so many conversations with this word, because again, there's lots of labels and negative connotations to diva. But to me, it was this larger than life essence that is just like, you're not going to stop me. Like, seriously, like the world is my playground. What can I do next?
I love it. It's so powerful. And one of the things that I appreciate about you so much, Kristina, is like, all these different nuances or aspects of who we are is so core to what you're all about. And so there's like this diva who's like, you can do it. And, then there's the, maybe the shy part. And then, it's like, and I have a feeling this is what you have to share about Queen Bee, which is about being all parts of you. And even when you and I, do you mind if I share a little bit about our conversation about your cover photo for Business Heroine?
No, please. I was hoping this would come up.
Yeah, because we talked about, you have like the best laugh in the world. Anybody who knows Kristina would say, like, oh, she's got this vibrant laugh. Like, you exude a spicy, sassy, vibrant happiness, and there's so much depth to you. And so just because you have a great smile and a great laugh and you're spunky doesn't mean that there's not great depth to you too. And so the cover on Business Heroine that, together we selected for the cover is a photo where Kristina's not smiling. And it's so epic though. Like, it's just fierce. Tell us what that photo says to you.
Yeah. So I absolutely love this photo. And it was just what you said. It was the depth to me. It was this fierceness. It was this power. But also I just felt like this softness to it, this reverence, and like true femininity and the connection to the divine through this photo. And I was just like, wow. When I saw it, I just felt like all of these nuances and these pieces that I feel like by just first glance, you don't always see of me, but it is the richness in my own tapestry that I felt like just got channeled and like captured in one moment. And I was just so moved by it. Mm-hmm. And it's been so interesting. Because, and I'm glad that this topic came up, is the feedback. Because I was asking people, I was sending some photos around saying like, which one do you like better? And nobody other than one person, and I probably showed about 15 people, just asking. And I think why it went on to 15 is because of the response that I was getting. And it was like, oh, the laughing one. Oh, the laughing one. Oh, that's you. That's you. That's you. And I was like, wow, it's so interesting. Even though people know you, they still identify with one piece. And I think it was such a beautiful experience and conversation that was happening around this photo, and of how like Queen Bee is really, how do we celebrate all of those facets of who we are, because we are not just one thing. And I think it's also this facade of everyone's just happy all the time. Like, it's just not reality. And it's not that you can't be happy, but to truly, I feel, to have pure light, pure joy and richness in that area of joy and abundance and like bliss, it's like the light spectrum. You have to have full richness and vastness and the depth of it, the darkness, the shadow side of it, for it to really have that polarity and magnitude of vibrancy. Or it's just kind of like, you think the light spectrum, you don't have white without black, because one absorbs, one reflects. And I think that's part of our own personalities and our own existence, is that there's so many. And how powerful is it to us to tap into those places that we don't allow to be expressed on a daily basis? And I think this photo has allowed this conversation to have more depth to it with people, of like what parts of us are we not allowing to show? What parts of us are there? And maybe we want to play with it. Maybe we want to try it on for size and be like, just for today, I want that depth to me to really be like blasted out. Or maybe it's our artistry. Maybe it's a place of us that we're just like, man, I would really love just to go paint, or I'd really love just to go do this one thing. Like, let's try it on, see how it feels. And I love it. Yeah. Like,
I feel like
what is that?
Yeah. I feel like you're such a permission slip. Like, you're just issuing permission slips to the rest of us to really embrace that, because I love hearing this right now, because it's a reminder that, it's like we can kind of forget, or I guess I'll speak for myself. It's like, I hadn't even thought about that lately in that way, where it's like, what if I wanted to put a whole different side of myself out there, or just be a certain way? And it's like, oh, is that what people are expecting of me? Or as women, there's this, sort of societal people pleaser that we're taught to have. Like, well, we don't want to make other people uncomfortable, or we want to make sure that, we're not rocking the boat. Or if I'm just the one who always rocks the boat, I don't want to, live down my reputation of being the one who rocks the boat. And it's like, what if we could be all of it? And when you're saying that, what I'm hearing is just like, wow, how many possibilities of life experience are available by just giving yourself that permission. It's kind of like the quantum physics thing where it's like there's multiple realities going on at the same time. It's like you could just choose which aspect of myself does it serve me to embrace right now and to broadcast out, and like how that affects your life. It's just fascinating to me. I just love it.
Oh, it's so true. You know, I did a Queen Bee workshop here just a month ago, and it was so fascinating because through the process that I take women through, there's a lot of creative play, but then also a lot of trying on. I give different experiences. I give different words. I give different labels for women to try on. And like, who do they become with these words, or who do they become with these essences, with these entities? So I give them, and it's been so fascinating because one of the women afterwards called me, and her life took a dramatic shift after her time with in the Queen Bee, and she shared that because she tried on a new essence that she realized that she could be, even if she was quote unquote role playing it just for the sake of the permission slip, it pretty much changed her world, because she came in the front of life or death of a family member. And because she tried on this new facet, this new essence, she was able to like dive down and direct and like pretty much save her mother's life because of her ability to step into something. And she calls me, she's like, I don't know what happened. I just channeled it. And she's like, it was the most incredible. And my whole family was around, like, who are you? And she was so grateful. And it's just those things of like, we have to remove the boxes that even we put ourselves in, and just try and give permission to be exploratory and to be like, you know what, today I'm going to be the bitch. What does that really look like on me? Like, how can I do that? You know, like, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. You know, bitches have boundaries. They know who they are. They speak their minds. You know, we could go to the shadow side of that, and we could put people down and belittle them, and that's not the place we want to go. But there's some truth to all of these essences. There's some truth to all of these labels that we put on ourselves. And it's like, what if we just remove that?
I love it.
What if I just want to try this on today?
Yeah, just trying it on. Just like trying on an outfit. Why? You don't have to buy it. You can just try it on and see what you think. Exactly. You know, in a conversation with some of my clients the other day, this just actually popped through. And so I offered for them a challenge for the week, which was to just inquire within, as you encounter decisions throughout your day and throughout your week, what if I said no to the things I just sort of automatically usually say yes to? And what if I said yes to the things I automatically say no to? And just inquire and just follow that train of thought. Like, okay, this opportunity to, I don't know, go to some dance party came up, and usually I say no to things like that because that's just not what I do right now in my life. I tend to chill at home. So it's like that, okay, you have that option, but what if you said yes? And just what if, you know? Or you got a favor, somebody's asking you for a favor or asking you to do something that you don't really want to do, or you're busy already, but you say yes because you want to be nice because that's your normal default thing to do. And what if you just said no? Or whatever it is, maybe it's the opposite, but it's a fascinating thing to think about how it's like just those daily decisions, those like moment by moment decisions are what shape your day, and our lives are just about a series of days, right? And so it's really ultimately like what you're talking about here. It is the opportunity to completely change the trajectory of your life by just making decisions one piece at a time, by intentionally choosing how you want to show up in the world and for yourself.
Yeah, and just get curious. Like that's the thing, you know, you're asking the what if. I think in our society, and I know like in personal development, I feel in like other entities, we're always looking for someone else to have our answers for us. We're always looking outside of ourselves instead of actually realizing that like we know it. We just got to peel some things away. But what I say about is get curious. It's like asking questions. You know, that's one of the things. Like I never tell people really what to do, but I intuitively know the right question for you to dive down. And I think that's also like what you're saying, like what if? Like get curious about what's out there, what is out there even for ourselves, out of the boxes or out of the ideas that we think we should or shouldn't do. And I love that what you're saying. What if I said yes to what I typically say no to? what if I said no to what I'd normally say yes to? What would happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a playground. It's like, have fun with it. It's like, play around with it. See what happens. Because you can always go back.
Yeah, you can always go back. That's right. The usual automatic way is it's not going anywhere. You can just pick it right back up if you want it.
Absolutely. It's like, let's just have fun with this. Like, wonder what happened. And I think that's what happened with the picture is like I asked one person and then it went to another person and it was like, wow, I'm just going to play with this a little more.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the number grew to 15 because I was like, wow, this is such an interesting conversation. And I just think more women need to look at it. And people in general of just looking at it and being like, wow, what pieces of ourselves would we like to come up or play a little bit more or try on? Like, what is that?
Yeah. And so tell us more about Queen Bee. I think that we are, talking about it, but tell us more directly, like, what is Queen Bee and what is the Queen Bee experience?
Yeah, so Queen Bee is really celebrating and accepting all of who you are as a woman. Your gift, your grit, and your greatness is what I like to call it because it's all of it. And it's a workshop experience that I created to really take women through this creative process of trying things on for themselves. How can they show up differently in their life and in their business? And really become the queen of their world. And if we think about what a queen is, like, what does she look like in her world? She rules her world. She isn't ruled by her world. And so it's really of like owning those places of us, owning our power, owning our grit, because we all have darkness. It's what creates our texture. It's what creates our depth. Without that grit, we don't have depth. And I think we all have met people that were like, we don't connect with because there isn't this richness to them. And it's not that maybe they haven't allowed themselves to open it up and to dip into their playground, or maybe they just haven't had the richness or vastness that other people have. But we have to let go of the shame and the guilt around it. All of it is a part of who we are. It is what is creating that beautiful texture that's like, oh, this is me. This is how I'm showing up in this world. And so that's really what the Queen Bee is experience about, and just trying on new things for women to show up more. And how it came from is from a quote which says, to be queen of your world is to be bold enough to own it, courageous enough to do it, and audacious enough to be it.
That's your quote, isn't it?
That's my quote.
That's your quote, yeah.
It's how it started. Queen Bee, because I was just having too many conversations with women dismissing, even in the marketplace. I have these women that are really successful and they're going to other strategists or they're going to other things to up level. And then the first thing they hear is, well, you can't do this, or you can't add this, or I know you're spiritual, but dismiss it. Well, I know you're a therapist, but entrepreneurs don't want to know that. And it's just like all of these like things that make us who we are. It's not okay to dismiss them. They're what creates us. And I think that's the other part of you, because Queen Bee is Queen Bee, the art of being you, because nobody can be you other than you, and your experiences make that up, and your power and your richness and all of those things that you've gone through in your life make you you, and they're all for a purpose. And you talk about like people living living life from their purpose or creating business from their purpose. Well, this is how we can do that. Yeah,
I want to ask you about that specifically. I think you just read my mind seriously, because I was just like, my mind was just going there. But first, I want to just repeat a couple of things you said, just quotes. To be the queen of your world is to be bold enough to own it. And I just like was looking at each piece of that. Bold enough to own it. It's like, that is bold. Like, I am going to accept this. I'm going to own it. I'm going to, just to own it.
Yeah, I have grit. I did this, or I went through this, or I did this, or, like it's all that. Yep, I sure did.
Yeah,
just
right. Owning it and not, exactly. That's like the letting go of the shame and the guilt, and then courageous enough to do it. Like, you're speaking my language. There's right there. And then I love this part too, audacious enough to be it, no matter what. And that reminds me of what you said at the beginning of the call, like, the audacity to think that you could ask some, I don't know, bigwig fancy person for something you want, or like the audacity to just be like, to be it, like to embody the person you want to be, or the version of yourself that is, you know, expressing a piece that you maybe didn't give yourself permission to do before. So I just love it. And the other thing that you said that I just want to repeat was that she rules her world. She isn't ruled by the world. Mm-hmm. I just love that. It's brilliant. So, okay. So speaking of purpose-based business, this is something I love to talk about. And I would love to hear just what are your words of wisdom that you have for the business heroines out there who are like, they're either starting to dip their toe into business, or they're on the cusp of creating their own purpose-based business, or they're in business but are really wanting to embrace the purpose aspect of it. What words of wisdom do you have for them around building a business that embraces all of you?
Yes. I'm going to have a little bit of unconventional advice, but knowing me, you would expect nothing different. I say go for it, first and foremost. I say, like, jump feet first. Just go in, dive in. I always say jump in the deep end of shark-infested waters and see what magic is created. And I think the powerful place is that if you're contemplating it, it's the commitment. Mm-hmm. It's like you can have these ideas, but if you're not really committed to them, of seeing where they can go, then they get lost, because as soon as it gets hard, you're ready to throw in the towel. And I promise you it's going to get hard, because, again, that's that richness. That is what's growing. I call it's a mighty oak. You're growing your roots into the earth. And oak trees only get stronger through turbulent winds. So,
okay, I'm so sorry, Kristina. I swear something's going on. We're like reading each other's mind, because I didn't say this out loud, because I don't know why I didn't. But when I was repeating back what you said about the she rules her world, she isn't ruled by the world. Yeah. I had a vision in my mind of an oak tree. It's like the difference between an oak tree that is rooted and firm, no matter what storm is blowing on around it, and being like a leaf that's like being flittered around and blown around by the lightest of breezes. And then you just said this oak tree thing. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to hear, and I know we're close to the end of our time here, but I really want to hear, you mentioned like the commitment, and I completely agree with you. And it's like, okay, if you're going to be committed, like you've got to be committed. How do you know if you're committed, or how do you know if you're really truly committed? Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think that's going to be different for each person, but what I can say is, like, well, two things. If you're really committed, it's like if it's your dream, it's your passion, how committed are you? If you're willing to give it up quickly, or as soon as it gets hard, then A, you're not committed. B, it may not be truly your passion or your dream, and maybe you need to dive deeper and ask yourself, well, why are you not committed? But the commitment finds a way. The commitment looks, am I having resistance? Do I need to go a different way? Do I need to let go of what I thought it was and move a different direction? Like, commitment is figuring it out. Like, okay, I'm in this. Like, I'm going to make this work. And I think a beautiful part of entrepreneurship is what I call entrepreneur shift, SHIFT. It's because it's constantly shifting. We cannot make it look like it's just linear and one thing. If you're diving into it, I think the biggest piece is, what if I'm not making money? Well, first and foremost, if you're not making money, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not your purpose, and maybe you need to look at different things. But the other part of that is of letting go of the attachment, and maybe you need to get a job while this is growing. So it's like, look, the commitment is figuring it out and finding ways to continue asking the why or how, like, okay, well, this didn't work out. How can I go over here and learn more? It's that progression and that deepening of this process. And I think as I look at art, it's a process. The only arrival really is the everyday journey. Like, that's the process. Like, it's not that we're looking for the get rich quick or cross the finish line immediately. It's the process that comes in that's why we do it, because of who we're becoming along the way. And so what I say is, if you want to have this business that it's encompassing all of who you are, and you want to make your dreams a reality, and want to redefine success on your own terms, I say beat to your own drum, dance to the rhythm of your own soul, sing to the song of your heart, write your own rules, and do it your way. And don't listen to what other people think, because you will find the answer as you continue on the journey.
I love it. I love it. Such good, awesome wisdom, and some reminders in there for me as well. Awesome. So, of course, we could talk for hours and hours, as we sometimes actually do. But for now, for those of our heroines listening who would love some more of you as well, I believe you have an ebook. How can we tell us about your ebook and where we can get it?
Yes. So my ebook is called Fun, Flirty, and Fabulous. It's a daily guide to unleash your femininity. And I'm super proud of this book. I love it a lot. It's really daily things. How can you spice up your daily life to be more creative, to tap into those places that we as women typically don't allow ourselves to go, as well as that femininity, that richness, that playfulness, that intuition, connecting to our bodies on a daily basis. And so it's just full of rich creative ideas. It's not like content heavy where it's a read book, but you can just go through. And then I talk about what makes any woman fun, flirty, and fabulous. What does that look like? What does fabulous even mean? So I go into what that looks like. And you can get it by visiting my site, which is youcandoitdiva.com. And it's all spelled out, youcandoitdiva.com. And it's just linked there. It's the opt-in. And you can just enter your name and email, and it comes right to you. I'm super excited about this book, and I'm really glad that it's now able to get right from my website.
Yay. Awesome. And we'll make sure we have the link in the article as well. So
perfect.
We don't have to play the V as in Victor game and spell it all out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And it sounds to me like one of those perfect reference books. Like I have a stash of my favorite reference books where I just you can flip to a page and find an awesome tip for I'm going to play with this one today. Is that true? Is it
absolutely?
Is it kind of like one of those?
If you're feeling a little fun, there's a chapter of fun, and you just go and you find, what I want to try on today. And then you go to flirty. I'm like, what I want to try on today. You go to fabulous. What I want to try on for today. Yes, it's that kind of a book.
Awesome. And I would love to invite you listening to give that a try and then share in the Business Heroine group what the outcome was. Like what happened when you tried on flirty for the day and what that looked like and what you did and how that turned out. So that'll be fun. We'll have a whole conversation around fun, flirty, and fabulous.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I make sure I link to that because I'd love to hear what they say about that. That'll be super fun.
Yeah, super fun. Awesome. So make sure to get the Fun, Flirty, Fabulous ebook at youcandoitdiva.com. And Kristina, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for making the cover of Business Heroine this June. Just fierce and beautiful and courageous and bold and audacious and all things you.
Oh, thank you. And it's such a pleasure. This is super exciting, and I love Business Heroine magazine, and I love what it stands for, and I am super, super stoked to be the cover of it. It's such an honor.
Yay.
And I love you.
I love you too. And thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time, and have a wonderful day. Take care.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
You have been listening to Business Heroine Radio for the entrepreneur who says she will and does. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out what's new at businessheroinemagazine.com today.